Eagles visiting the Packers on Monday night. Felt like about 13 degrees out there with the wind whipping. Early fourth quarter is where we pick it up. Not a whole lot of scoring. Eagles lead 3-0. Hurts finally finds Saquon Barkley 41 yards before he gets tackled.
Yeah, great reset by Jalen Hurts, and then just a little bit of a blown coverage by Green Bay. And then Saquon turns a check down into a massive play. This, to me, play of the game. It's 1st and 10. You take your shot. You get the ideal coverage, and it's just an outstanding track of the football by Devontae Smith. That's something he's become one of the best players at a position in the NFL. And
Eagles up 10-0. Finally some scoring happening in a defensive battle. Under 6 minutes left, same score. Josh Jacobs making something happen for the Packers. He fights to the end zone for the touchdown. Field level. It was amazing to watch how strong he was.
Yeah, great run.
Packers down 10-7. 20 seconds to go. Second down. Packers from their own 36. And Love hits Bo Melton for 18 yards. The Packers would spike it with 5 seconds remaining. And then Packers lining up for a 64-yard field goal. Brandon McManus actually had a little try before that, and it was short. Then he did it for real. It was still short. Here's Jalen Hurts, though, after a win in Lambeau that may not have been a pretty one.
I think in hindsight, it was slow early on, kind of finding our footing in the game. And we found it when we needed to, right? I think, some opportunities where I definitely like to have some opportunities back, regardless of whatever's going on. You got to keep shooting. You got to keep going. You got to keep attacking. And you have to trust within the unit that this is what we're going to do and going to have confidence in that.
Swagu, I was thinking about you during this game because I thought as a defensive guy, you probably love one like this, right? I mean, as much as people want to see things happen offensively and see some action happen, but the Philly Eagles still get a win. What can you say about what stands out to you about the way they did it last night?
Championship pedigree. I mean, Jalen alluded to it, finding times to make plays in a game that you saw how it was going early, Boogie, and you mentioned the defenses, but obviously the kick out to Saquon for a big play, the push down the field to Devontae, and he goes up and wins. This has become about players sometimes for the Philadelphia Eagles, and this is without A.J. Brown having a significant impact, but his pocket movement to me was one of the themes of the night, just extending plays, keeping them going. We saw Micah on the prowl, and Jalen was able to elude. That is one of the advantages of having a guy like him in these games. And also, while on the move, making good decisions. Outside of the fumble that got punched out, this was about turnovers in this game. This was about who was going to get a critical turnover in this game or who was going to make the play when it was needed. And Philly once again showed championship pedigree. I didn't like the end of the game with Green Bay having an opportunity to kick a field goal, but ultimately the team that has championship pedigree found the 2 or 3 hidden plays that they needed to make in order to come out on top.
You thought that was the right call?
For Philly to go for it? Absolutely.
We'll get to that later.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go for it, for sure.
Mentally tough. Is there a more mentally tough and more mentally resilient team in the NFL? And I would say competitive greatness. It wasn't pretty, and I actually think it was more performance, or a better performance than maybe the numbers suggested. But that's kind of what this team is. Remember in the spring or a month ago, that's why Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni remind me a little bit of Brady and Belichick, because their run wasn't always pretty, but it was always that competitive greatness. And I go to the Devontae touchdown pass, and I just think of that was the one shot they got all game. Formation into the boundary, and it's A.J. Brown at the bottom of the screen. So it's quarters defense, right? Every defender has a quarter of the field, that's their zone. Naturally, the eyes are going to be paying attention to A.J. Brown at the bottom of the screen. So you get the ball fake, the tight end in the back, scissors. That downfield safety, that's where Jalen pumps. They're trying to get that safety to sit. I've now created the space for you, Devontae Smith. You have to go win. And you can go all the way across the field, which he does, and then makes a play. That was the only shot they had, though. And I go back to some of the quarterbacks that we've got to sit with on Monday Night Football this year. And, Sam Darnold was the guy that was like, with the way defenses are playing nowadays, you only get so many shots every game. And to win, you have to hit them. And I think that's the example last night. They didn't have many opportunities, Philly. One. And Jalen Hurts made that one play with Devontae at that one time, and it's the reason they win the football game. It's competitive greatness.
Yeah, thinking about it on the Packers side, I mean, Jordan Love had that shot to Christian Watson, and he didn't get that completed.
The difference in in that game with great teams,
you never know. They might have scored there. All right, Mina, it was a low-scoring game, but what about the defense from Philly last night?
My big takeaway from this game was that the Eagles' defense addressed what I thought was probably their biggest issue, was the lack of four-man rush, right? As much as we've worried about the offense, watching them at times, that defense has not gotten pressure with four. And Jalen Phillips was a massive part of that. So was Nolan Smith returning. But you watch both of the sacks. I mean, Jalen Phillips is partially responsible for both of them because of the attention that he drew. First, the back, so Nakobe Dean comes through. And first was, the Jalix Hunt sack, where Jalen Phillips is chipped, so Jalix Hunt gets a one-on-one. And then Nakobe Dean comes through because the back is worried about Jalen Phillips. I also thought he was extraordinary against the run. I think this is a big part of the reason why they traded for him. Vic Fangio really wants edges who can set an edge, and he was excellent, obviously, on the fourth down, but throughout the game, I thought he was making numerous good tackles. So I come out of this game not panicking about the Eagles' offense, as bad as it looked at times, and feeling a heck of a lot better about this Eagles defense as they head towards the stretch.
Yeah, and you really got to feel good about the Packers defense, too. I mean, in their 3 losses, they've held teams under 20 points. We'll talk about the Packers in just a little bit, so don't worry. We'll get to that side. We're just getting started on NFL Live. Our veterans today, and courage can show itself in any number of ways, from on the football field to off of it. In 1967, one man, Rodney Davis, showed the ultimate form of courage during the Vietnam War. As the Marines celebrate their 250th anniversary, Jason Kelsey has the story of one Marine who personifies sacrifice.
Valiant, selfless, courageous. Words that describe Sergeant Rodney Davis, a 6-year Marine veteran.
Just knowing that your grandfather did something like incredible and put his life on the line.
How old were you when you learned about your grandfather's actions in Vietnam?
Maybe like 5 or 6.
Offensive lineman Tyler Steen spends his weekends protecting the right side of the Philadelphia Eagles offense. A fitting connection since his grandfather, Rodney Davis, always embraced the role of protector.
He protected his siblings. If there was ever any trouble in the neighborhood, you know, they could count on him going in and taking care of whatever.
Shortly after graduating high school in 1961, Davis joined the Marines. In September of 1967, Sergeant Davis found himself in the thick of battle in Vietnam as platoon sergeant.
His role was a right guard. As a right guard, he was basically third in command of the platoon. He made sure all the men had anything they needed.
Davis and his platoon were under attack from over 2,500 Vietnamese soldiers.
And the NBA were just coming at them. And they started throwing grenades. Sergeant Davis and his 5 Marines with them were in a trench. And it was almost like a ballet. Grenades would land in the trench, and the Marines would jump out of the trench. And it would go off. Then they'd jump back in the trench because so much enemy fire coming at them. And finally, one grenade went high and made the Marines duck their head. They lost sight of the second grenade.
A grenade had landed in that little hole, that bunker. And we, saw that and decided to